Hi guys, welcome to Meals with Maria and another extreme grocery budget challenge. This week we went to the Dollar Tree and spent $20 for 5 days worth of food. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 5 days for 4 people. That's 2 adults, 2 children. I'll tell you, if you have older children or children with very hearty appetites, you would have had plenty of food. So just real quick, I'll go over the rules of the challenge and then we'll get to shopping and cooking. For this challenge, I did decide to use my own oil and spices, so that's just part of the challenge that we're doing today. Although I would like to eat only the Dollar Tree things within our family during those 5 days. We do have other snacks and stuff within the house, and my children that are 3 and 5 really don't understand the challenge, and I don't feel that it's fair to them to tell them that they can only eat the things that I purchased when they see other snacks around. So my kids do often eat other snacks during these challenges, and they also make adjustments to the foods that they do eat. I always try and eat the food as it is, as the challenge allows, so that I can share with you guys whether it was good or not. I would never want to add something extra or have the assumption that you did have something that is outside the bounds of the foods that I purchased in this challenge. That being said, we had some amazing meals this week and I can't wait to share them with you. Alright guys, I am home. I want to show you everything I got and kind of how we're going to make this work for the week. I ended up sorting everything out by meal. What I ended up going with is the pancake and waffle mix. Just add water, and I think we were going to go for waffles this time. And then I got some quick oats. Between making waffles and doing quick oats, this should make breakfasts for the entire 5 days for all 4 of us. Then I also got this applesauce. I did a calorie comparison in the jar of applesauce versus the canned fruits, and the canned fruits actually had less calories, it looked like, so went with the applesauce. I wanted to get as many calories as I possibly can for my buck. We use applesauce as the sweetener for both the quick oats and to put on the waffles. Honestly, my kids are pretty good about just like eating waffles plain, which is oddly enough that they do like that. So I think even with a little bit of applesauce on the side, that will be a perfect breakfast. It was definitely a little tough because for breakfast, normally we would do like eggs, and they had no eggs at the dollar store. So for lunches, I figure my husband, Dan, and I will do split pea soup. I've always wanted to do this for a challenge, and this was the opportunity. Not only did I get this split peas, but I was able to find this bouillon, chicken bouillon cubes. I mean, this is an amazing deal. So $1, at the Dollar Tree, way better than getting our chicken broth. And I'll be able to use this for multiple meals. So this is going to give a lot of flavor to our meals right here. I'm very happy to find that at the Dollar Tree. So we'll make like a vegetarian split pea soup, and we'll use this entire container of split peas with our chicken bouillon, and then I did get some sliced carrots. That's going to taste really good in there. And then saltine crackers on the side. This is a pretty large container, a pound container of saltines for $1. We can use this, and then we can also use it as snacks. So that's kind of a double, and I love that. And then for the kids, I got them this bread and this salami. I was supposed to get mayo. They had like a Miracle Whip, like a small container, which will be perfect for them. But I accidentally forgot to get it and purchased something else. And so let's pretend that there's Miracle Whip right here. And I'm probably just going to use the mayo from my own fridge. But you can get Miracle Whip at the dollar store, and that will contribute to our $20 total. So we'll just do salami sandwiches, saltines, maybe there'll be some applesauce. Who knows? That should do it for them for lunches. Again, as we know, these are not the most nutritious. I'm trying to fit as much nutrition in as possible for $20 for 5 days for 4 of us. But it's tough. It's tight, and the Dollar Tree does not have produce. We have frozen things, and we have a little bit of refrigerated items, but there was almost nothing in the refrigerator this time. and it just is what it is. So we're trying our best to get as many vitamins as we can, but we really want to focus on calories here. The next thing I'm going to make is dinners. I'm going to have 3 different choices for dinners this week. And so 5 nights, 3 different dinners, and I'm going to try to figure out, I know there's enough in here to make that work. I just haven't quite got there with the numbers yet. So I got these Hungry Jack mashed potatoes. There is a recipe on the Hungry Jack website that tells you how to make potato soup out of this. So I thought that's genius. Let's make a broccoli cheddar potato soup. Okay, broccoli cheddar potato soup. So I got the milk to go with this. This does call for some butter or oil. I will be using oil from my own pantry for this challenge. And that's just how we're going to do it. So I didn't buy anything for that. But yeah, the recipe calls for frozen broccoli, which I've tried a few of the different frozen items from the Dollar Tree. I'm not going to touch that because it's loud. And getting broccoli from the Dollar Tree seems to be the best choice for us right now, and you seem like you get the most bang for your buck and a lot of nutrition out of it. I did get the frozen broccoli, the Hungry Jack, we have our milk, and then our cheddar cheese, and this should make an amazing broccoli cheddar soup. That should last us at least 1 or 2 meals. Next, I'm going to use the rest of the mashed potatoes to make a shepherd's pie. I'm going to take mashed potatoes, whip those up. I've got myself some brown gravy here. Now, I'm not like the fanciest shepherd's pie maker. I literally take our meat, vegetables. So I'm going to use lentils as meat. Cook those up, probably use an Instant Pot method, because if you saw my last Dollar Tree challenge, I used lentils. I cooked them down kind of in the pan. I used salt ahead of time. I got a lot of great comments on kind of how to make that better, because I just felt like they were kind of crunchy and they really weren't where they should be. So this is actually going to make like a ton of lentils, so there should be even more than I'm going to need, but I'm going to do a shepherd's pie, so I'm going to mix the vegetable blend with that, the brown gravy, and then top it with our mashed potatoes. And that should be pretty good. I'm hoping that I can kind of fool the family again and make them think that this is meat. We'll see. And then the last dinner that I'm going to put together is really just a broccoli pasta. So I did take a look at rice versus pasta versus how much we were going to get. And they did not have the 2-pound bags of rice this time at the Dollar Tree that I went to. So I'm like, okay, we're going with what we have. So this is a 20-ounce container of rotini. This was the most calories for your dollar when it comes to either rice or pasta. Then I got this condensed cream of mushroom soup, and we should mix this with our broccoli cuts. And I'm not sure if we'll need anything else or we'll add anything else or how that will work out. And I'm not sure if we'll need some chicken bouillon, but we'll have it if we need it, which is super awesome. And make like a creamy broccoli pasta. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm hoping. And I might try and save, like I might go light on this cheddar when we do the cheddar soup and then put it with the broccoli pasta and make like a cheesy, creamy broccoli pasta. I think that will be really good. All right, guys, I am going to start cooking. So here we go. On day 1, I'm just getting started by making our waffles. I am a huge advocate for meal prep. So I'm going to be making the entire container of waffles on the first day. So this way we really have no excuses when it comes to breakfast. If we're rushing or something comes up, we have waffles to eat no matter what. I'm just following the instructions on the back of the package and using the entire thing. This recipe is so easy. Just mix it up with water. And then I'm using my Cuisinart waffle maker. I lived without one of these waffle makers for many years, and I don't know what I was thinking. They're really inexpensive, and they help you to make waffles for very, very cheap. I have been able to buy and make waffles for a lot less than paying for Eggos or anything like that. And they come out perfect. I mean, those are pretty good looking waffles, right? The whole box did end up making, I think it was like 10 or 11 waffles, which is perfect for us. The kids just each ate half a waffle and some applesauce. It was the perfect breakfast for them, and they really enjoyed it. You can absolutely add syrup or fruit or anything else that you have. In this case, my kids just don't really care if there's syrup on their waffles, and honestly, I don't really mind either. I kind of just grab it out of the fridge and eat it with some coffee. On the second day, Dan and Julian opted for waffles, but Tommy and I decided to have oatmeal. I'm just making us each one serving, and I'm going to mix it with water. There is the option to use milk, so if you have milk, go ahead and use that. It will add some extra nutritional value. And then I am just microwaving it for 2 minutes. That's kind of how I've always made my oatmeal, but it's your preference if you want to do it on the stove or a different method. And then Tommy does end up adding a few things to his oatmeal. You'll see that he has some apples and flax seeds. He really likes flax seeds in his oatmeal. And then you can also add cinnamon if you like. I do show some maple syrup here. So in my last Extreme Grocery Budget Challenge, I bought maple syrup and I had about half the container left. So I'm just showing you here that you can use things that are from other budget meals to kind of cross over into your next meal. It's your choice. It's honestly good plain, it's good with cinnamon, and it's good if you mix some of the applesauce in as well. Kind of make it your own. That's what budget shopping is, really just using what you have in your pantry and figuring out what you can do with it. Lunches for the week is split pea soup. So on the first day, I'm using 1 pound of peas, a can of sliced carrots. Now the recipe calls for fresh garlic and onion, but we are just going to use powdered. Then we're going to use 1 bay leaf, 6 cups of hot water, 1 tablespoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper. And we're just going to place all of that in the crock pot. I cooked it on low for 8 hours, but you could also do it on high for 4. So here's what our soup looks like after 8 hours on low. You just mix it up. I mean, pea soup is not the most appetizing looking thing, but the flavor in this soup was incredible. And I realized I mentioned earlier that I was planning to use the chicken bouillon in this, and I actually found a recipe that didn't include it, and it didn't need it. It had plenty of flavor, and it was delicious. Not including the bouillon also makes it vegan, so it's a great vegan choice. It's just so filling and so healthy. I know I'm doing my body a good service when I eat this. My husband loved it, and it was just something to look forward to every day. I also realized that I did not get any footage of the kids' sandwiches, but we can just pretend and imagine that we're making them salami sandwiches. It was very simple. For our first dinner, I'm making a broccoli cheddar potato soup from Hungry Jack using the Hungry Jack potato flakes, milk, frozen broccoli, cheddar cheese, chicken bouillon in place of chicken stock, garlic powder and onion powder in place of regular garlic and onion, and some dried parsley. I'll also be serving saltines on the side because saltines are just so good with soup. When I saw these Hungry Jack mashed potatoes, I went to the website to see if there's a recipe and found this one. First thing we're going to do is put 2 cups of frozen broccoli in the pan, along with 2.5 cups of water and chicken bouillon. I'm adding about a teaspoon each of onion powder and garlic powder. And then this isn't in the recipe, but I decided to use my potato masher to kind of mash up my broccoli, so I felt like I really wanted the pieces to be a little bit smaller. Once the water reaches a boil, put the cover on and lower the heat to simmer for 5 minutes. And now I'm just adding 1.25 cups of potato flakes and mixing this together. The next step is to gradually add in 1.5 cups of milk and my shredded cheddar cheese. So I ended up using half the stick of cheddar cheese, which is about half of what the recipe calls for. The soup was still delicious, and I had no idea that there wasn't the right amount of cheese in there. I did just want to save some of the cheese for a different recipe. Sometimes I do that when I'm trying to be budget conscious. You just put a little bit of something that will give a flavor and you don't really need it, and you still get everything that you hoped for, and the soup was still amazing. So it was cheaper for me to buy the cheddar cheese in the square form than shredded, so I just shredded my own cheese on a box grater, which was very simple and took almost no time. Here is our finished product. The soup was so thick and really flavorful. You really would not have known that it came from the Dollar Tree or that it was made out of boxed potatoes. It was a real winner in my book, and I'll probably make it again. My kids did not end up using any mayonnaise with their sandwiches, and the other thing that I had bought instead of mayo was bacon bits. So I figured since we didn't use the mayo, let's go ahead and use the bacon bits here. The recipe does call for real bacon, but the bacon bits just mixed in gave it really nice flavor, and it was quite good. So I would recommend those if you don't have regular bacon, but go ahead and add it in if you have it. Add your bacon if you have it, guys. I know my kids' portions are small here. We did have some left over in the pan, and Dan took it for lunch the next day, but if you had a larger family or bigger eaters, you could definitely serve 4 with this soup. There's probably not enough to serve more than 4, but that's okay. We have plenty of food in the next 2 recipes. For our next recipe, I was so inspired by the recipe on the Hungry Jack website that I checked out the Campbell's website to see what I could do with cream of mushroom soup. I found a recipe called broccoli and pasta bianco. I liked it because it was very simple, including only pasta, milk, cream of mushroom soup, and broccoli. And some cheddar cheese. That's what I was saving my cheddar cheese for. I am altering this recipe by using more pasta because the box has 25% more, so it's more than 1 pound. I am using more broccoli because I had leftover broccoli from my broccoli potato cheddar soup, and I'm using less cheese because I just don't have as much cheese. Cheese is always the thing that gets sacrificed in these challenges. I'm just going to start off by boiling my pasta according to the package directions. But in the last 3 minutes of the pasta boiling, I do want to add in my frozen broccoli. This is how we're going to cook the broccoli. Once the time is up, simply drain your pasta with your broccoli into the sink. Now mix 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1.5 cups of milk, and 1 can of cream of mushroom soup into a 9x13 pan. Add in the remainder of your cheddar cheese, all shredded up. Mix and add your pasta and broccoli. Really takes no time at all. Once everything is well mixed, place in the oven at 350 degrees for 25 minutes until the pasta is bubbling. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. I think because I used extra pasta and broccoli, it is a little bit drier than it might be in different circumstances had you used the right amount. And this is us eating the food. You can see the kids were digging right in. This is definitely a family favorite, so I'm kind of proud of how everyone felt about it. And it was just so easy. This is a really, really good weeknight meal. You could buy the ingredients for this really anywhere. This is how much we had left over after eating our dinner. It's kind of crazy. That's a lot of food. So we had plenty for the next night as well as a couple of lunches. The final meal that I'm making that will last us 2 nights is a lentil shepherd's pie. I'm using the remainder of my Hungry Jack mashed potatoes, the remainder of our milk, this can of Green Giant vegetables, and 1 pound of lentils. I'll also be using some chicken bouillon, onion powder, garlic powder, and thyme. You'll notice that my brown gravy is not here because I found a recipe that didn't include anything like that, but after I made this, it was a little bit drier than expected, so I did end up using the brown gravy later in the recipe. I'm just going to get started by heating 1.5 cups of lentils with 4 cups of water, about a teaspoon each of onion powder and garlic powder, and 4 cubes of chicken bouillon over medium-high heat until it comes to a boil. Also adding a teaspoon of thyme in here. Once it comes to a boil, you just want to bring it down to a simmer and cover for 35 to 40 minutes. Once my lentils are cooked, I'm just going to add in my can of vegetables, give that a good mix, and set aside. Now I'm just going to make the remainder of my mashed potatoes according to the instructions on the back of the package. I'm just using 2 cups of water, a tablespoon of olive oil, bringing that to a boil, and then adding in my cup of potatoes as well as milk. Just going to stir that up, add another 1/4 cup of milk, and that is the last of my milk. So at this point I've used my potatoes and my milk, and I'm just going to pour this right over my lentils, right inside of my Dutch oven. You can definitely pour the lentils into a 9x13 pan and then put the mashed potatoes over it that way. These potatoes were really good, but probably a little bit thicker than I would have liked for a shepherd's pie. So I think if I were to do it again, I would have added a little bit more water. I think that's all I needed to thin them out. The flavor was there, it's just that they were a little bit difficult to spread. Now you just want to pop your casserole in the oven at 425 degrees for 10 minutes just to crisp up the top. You can see some parts of my potatoes have gotten a little bit crispy. Because this was a little dry, I just decided to add the brown gravy. Just 1 cup of water with your brown gravy mix and you have gravy. Just cook it over medium-high until it boils and it is ready. It was really, really good. If I were to make this again, I probably would just add 1 more cup of water and bouillon cube when making the lentils, or add the brown gravy in before putting the mashed potatoes on top. Either way, this was really good. The only verdict on it was that it was in fact not a shepherd's pie, but it still tasted really good. This also lasted for 2+ meals. We were able to have it for lunch one day as well as for 2 dinners. It was quite a bit of food. Alright guys, as I usually do, I film my intro and outro on the same day. So here I am again. That food was so good. I was honestly very, very impressed. I really liked using the recipes that were already created by companies such as the Campbell's soup recipe and the Hungry Jack recipe. Both of those were extremely helpful when it came to budget meal planning because I was able to plan around the items that I was able to purchase. And it was very inexpensive and there was a ton of food. Like I still have food left. Having the extra food from the Bianco casserole and the shepherd's pie was extremely helpful to give some variety to lunches as well. Although I did really, really, really enjoy the pea soup. It's just nice to have something extra if you need it or something just to grab as a snack. I was extremely happy that there was absolutely no complaints. The kids ate most of the foods and you know there has been some rumbling of husband complaints about feeding him Dollar Tree food, but he didn't even notice he was eating Dollar Tree food this time around, so I thought that was a huge win. I know you guys like to know what was left over after the challenge, so I did have these. There are 2 packets of brown gravy in here. Then there are some chicken bouillon cubes. These were probably the biggest win of the entire challenge. That was amazing to find those. I hadn't seen those at the Dollar Tree before, so I don't know if they will keep having them all the time, or maybe your Dollar Tree does carry them. But I mean, I still have quite a few left, so this is just such a great starter for a meal. It gave the foods that we ate so much flavor. Like I'm so thankful for that. So last time I did a challenge, it was just water, and it definitely took away some of the flavors that we could have had. I think that having this would have been a huge leg up. And lentils, I did have a tiny bit of lentils left because I didn't want to experiment too much with the recipe that I was using to make the lentils since I'm not an experienced lentil maker, and I didn't want them to come out crunchy again. So I have about a 1/4 cup of lentils. I don't really know what you can do with that, but just wanted to let you guys know I had it left. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more, I'll be posting a playlist of all the extreme grocery budget challenges that I have done in the past, which includes Walmart, Aldi, and another Dollar Tree challenge. If you're new here, definitely subscribe. I'm going to be putting out a Dollar Tree Thanksgiving on Monday, November 2nd. So definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're there with me to enjoy it. I want you to enjoy a Dollar Tree Thanksgiving with me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye! I've been waiting all my life for someone like you.